The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com, 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? Postgame pod. The roller coaster edition of the postgame pod, because one night we're feeling the highs, feeling like the Celtics are so back, and the next night we're diagnosing another tough loss. This time it's a 114-112 loss to the Houston Rockets. Amen Thompson, who was awesome in this game, star in the making, hits a floater with 0.7 seconds to go. Celtics 2 defensive lapses in the final 10.3 seconds. Celtics blow a 12-point lead with 8.5 minutes to go, and watch the Rockets and old coach Ime Udoka emerge with a gritty win that just when you thought maybe they would been turning a corner, Celtics continue to find some bumps in the road. Now, you could, on a normal day, you could explain this away and say, well, no Derek White, no Sam Hauser, both were scratched earlier in the day. Al Horford ends up being a last-minute scratch, somewhat made up for by the fact that Luke Kornet goes in there and has one of the best games of his career and was everywhere. Unfortunately, poor Luke is involved in both of those defensive miscues at the end of the game, in which the Celtics were just routinely disorganized, almost got caught with 6 men on the court at one point before Alperen Sengun's dunk off an inbounds play. Jaylen Brown had just put the Celtics up, tied the game 110 with about 11 seconds to go, and Houston calls timeout, has time to set up for a last shot, but they don't even have to because Sengun just dives to the basket with everybody else streaking towards midcourt, pulling defenders away from the basket, and Luke somehow gets caught behind him, can't stop the play to the basket. Celtics down 2 now, but come back. Jason Tatum hits a layup over Amen Thompson. Good defense. Good job by Thompson to not foul in that instance with 5.3 seconds to go. That gives Houston one last chance. Celtics give a foul, which was the right play. Luke fouls Thompson on the initial inbounds. What's more is like you kind of mashed your coverage there. It looks like you're going to put Luke on Thompson, but then they come back for the second set, and Luke is still in that position with JB in the corner. And so someone from the bench, some assistant coach was telling them, switch it up so that you have Jaylen Brown on Amen Thompson to start the possession. Chances are 4 seconds to go, they're not going to run an action. I don't love, to me, you put your best defenders on the spots where the ball is most likely to go. I believe Tatum was on Dylan Brooks, who had a monster game, but look, if he's going to hit an 11th three to beat you, just go ahead and challenge him to do that. Instead, I'd be alert to, who's covering Sengun and who is on Thompson, who was just, again, career high 33 points in this game, was fantastic. And so the Celtics get caught trying to switch Jaylen and Luke before the inbounds. The Rockets alertly go quick. Thompson gets JB on his heels, gets to the lane, gets off a pretty good look for that situation. Both the Jays sort of flanking him on each side and watching him make the game winner. Peyton Pritchard actually got a heave off that might have won it if they had reviewed it and taken a look. But nevertheless, the Celtics just sometimes can't get out of their own way. And again, like on a normal night, you could just say, well, they were shorthanded, three key guys. This was a fun game. Like, take away the end result, and the Celtics have a lot to be encouraged by with the way they played. Tatum shrugs off a scoreless first half, even though he was very good with getting everybody else involved. And some weird shorthanded lineups. Everybody else got a chance. Like, they went to Tillman for the first time in months. Jaden Springer had some big shots in this one. Drew Peterson got a chance in the second half. Like I said, Luke had probably his best game of the year. And yet, just little lapses in focus and defensive miscues at the finish line are enough to send you to another loss. Celtics are now, I want to make sure I get this right, 15-9 at home at TD Garden, 32-15 overall, 6 losses on the road, 15-9 at TD Garden. They're now 5.5 games back of Cleveland. When they came back from the West Coast, they were within 4.5. With 2 head-to-head matchups looming in the month of February, felt like you might have a chance to put that 1 seed back into play. Instead, you look up now, and the Knicks are 1 game back of the 2 seed, which, like, I'm kind of joking, but the way the Celtics are playing, maybe it's better to be the 3 seed, have to go on the road in both the second and third rounds if you're lucky enough to get there, because they've been better on the road than they have been at home. Celtics are now 3-9 after a loss. This was the 9th blown fourth quarter lead, which matches the entire number of blown leads all of last season. Celtics for much of last year were the lowest in the NBA, but now they've already hit that same mark. This was the 7th blown lead of 10 points or more this season. And, sometimes you're up 10 in the first half and you cough it up, but to be up with 8.5 minutes to go, they expended a lot of energy in that third quarter. Tatum plays the whole frame, running with some reserve groups to kind of get you back into this thing and build that lead. And yet, just not crisp enough down the stretch. Look, for this podcast, we should be focusing on the Celtics issues. I do want to say, Houston is a really fun team. Now, so we didn't get to see Amen Thompson in Houston because he was suspended second game after launching Tyler Hero out of the club in the dust up with Miami. And every now and then I catch league pass, and you just play in the first half where he goes up and catches an offensive rebound and then goes back up and dunks it. It was one of the most athletic plays I've seen all season. And the explosiveness that he has, the way he plays, the playmaking skills combined with the aggressiveness to the basket, it's the Rockets have a star in the making. I almost want to say superstar, because it's not going to be long for him to be an all-star the way he plays. When you combine that with Şengün, you get Dylan Brooks making 10 threes and having a monster night. You can see why they're second in the West right now. They've been making a ton of threes since January 1, which has helped for a team that is otherwise their effective field goal percentage is super low. They get a ton of offensive rebounds. My long-winded way of saying, they're not quite, to me, just based on what the games we've seen, they're not on Oklahoma City's level, and they're probably not on Denver's level, but they're creeping. And I'll tell you, having watched Ime coach teams and the way they kind of thrive in the second half of the season, just can't rule out that the Rockets will be feisty. I don't know how they could get bounced in the first round. They could go to the West Final. Nothing would surprise me based on the talent and the potential. I still think they probably got to go through it a little bit to get to where they want to go ultimately. So credit to them. That's a really fun team, and when they're fully healthy, that's going to be an interesting team. And as they get experience, as they get into the playoffs, as they get tested, it's going to be a fun team to watch. But for the purposes of this podcast, we'll keep it on the Celtics. And look, it's not as aggravating as some of the losses that we've seen. Just based on how it played out. I think it's still annoying that you had so many lapses there at the finish line. You think back to the playoff run last year, and part of the reason it seemed so easy was because in series against the Pacers, and I hate we feels like we reference this twice a week now, but they made every right play. Jaylen Brown hit every big shot. Drew Holiday made every big steal. They were in the right spots. They made the right play based on time and sequence, or they just haven't played with that sort of focus, and it speaks to the bigger issue of why the Celtics are, a little bit disappointing at 32-15 overall. And again, do I think does it mean they can't find it before the postseason? Absolutely not. Celtics fully healthy and fully engaged and fully focused, I'll take them against anybody. But this little December-January roller coaster is gnawing, at both, those of us who consume it every night, and I'm sure the fans who it's hard to wrap your head around how they can be so good for certain stretches and then so haphazard in others. And it's just just too bad. Like they played. There was so much good that happened in this game. From Kristaps and the Tony sets to Tatum figuring it out and dominating that third quarter. And yet, okay, KP gets in foul trouble. That compromises your defense when he goes back in the fourth quarter because they're super aggressive going at him, trying to foul him out. The lapses at the finish line, and it all adds up to another loss. So, another reminder how important it is to have Derek White out there. I guess that's the spin we'll try to put on it. But just another tough night for the Celtics, and it just feels like this roller coaster until they're willing to really lock in and put in the effort and keep that focus and keep their foot on the gas when things are going well. Things like this are going to keep happening, and I just keep wondering when they're going to get sick of opposing players like Dylan Brooks coming into their building and just feeling really comfortable, making a ton of shots. He got an offensive foul call on Luke Cornett at one point towards midcourt and was just sitting there dancing on the floor. At what point do you take that personally and just be like, you know what? You're the defending champs. This isn't acceptable to watch teams come in here and be this comfortable. And again, doesn't change what I think about what this team is capable of. But I just, as someone who holds them to a high standard, I wonder when they're going to get sick of having to listen to a little bit of the negativity afterward and listen to the dissection of all the little stuff that goes wrong and sort of masks all the good that is happening. All right, here's more from our postgame show.
The award-winning 24 Auto Group is the easy choice for your next car, truck, or SUV. 11 locations and over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock.
Shop the brands you know and love, backed by savings and service you can count on. Plus, buy 3 and get 1 free for all tire purchases, with 11 convenient locations across the South Shore of Massachusetts.
24 has the knack to save you more. Visit us in store or online at 24autogroup.com.
Joe, what a game. What, from your vantage point, did you see in the final 2 Houston offensive possessions?
Yeah, I mean, those they started with me. That's on me as a coach, not having the matchups right, not putting our guys in the best situation to execute the last 2 plays. So that one falls on me 100%.
Did you enjoy the physicality of this game? How would you describe that?
Yeah, I thought we played a great game. I mean, it's 2 really good teams. I love the way our guys battle. It always comes down to our last plays, but, as I said, our players put us in position to win, and, I didn't help them execute at the end.
What is your takeaway from this game aside from that?
I have to be better, and I have to continue to get better as a coach to put our guys in position to win.
Joe, thank you.
Yep.
Joe Mazzulla taking all the responsibility there for the breakdowns that you saw in those 2 inbound plays where Houston was able to take the lead twice and obviously get the game winner. When saying he didn't put the guys in the right position, what exactly do you think he means by that?
I think what he was trying to do, he understood the play, that was just listening to him and then watching the plays a couple times now, is that I think he was trying to think ahead of the other team. And knowing that we were going to be switching, putting Luke in a position to where Jalen Green was going to be coming off of the dribble handoff with Thompson, and Jalen could switch to him. And so with that being said, there was confusion because it's all split-second decisions. And if you're on the sideline yelling that while the ref is getting ready to take out, give the, and I'm already guarding you, and then now I got to run. Now we're pointing fingers, and you can see that on that last play. The first play, it was a little different because it looked like KP and Jaylen Brown, they both, and we're going to show this right now, KP, see, it's 2 guys going to the ball right there, and then, Luke just gets backdoors like I don't know what was going on there, and then right here, this is the confusion on the last play is, look, Luke is like, hey, we're going to be switching now. You're hesitant now. Look at Jaylen Brown is just reacting now. And so just the miscommunication there. And so Joe basically is saying that it was his fault because he, more than likely, I don't know because I wasn't there to be able to hear what was being said, but what it was looked like, they wanted to have Luke in the switcher spot to where once it switched, Jalen could take Jalen Green. and be in the right position. And that was the matchup they were looking for. We just weren't matched up the right way. And at the same time, maybe we, he probably looks back and says, hey, man, maybe I have a different guy out there. You know what I mean? A Jaden Springer out there for a defensive play because that's what we're looking for. But, hindsight is 20/20. It's one of those things you got to give credit to Dylan Brooks and Thompson. They came out. They played a hell of a game. They shot the ball. They shot lights out.
We got Drew and Scal joining us now, and a lot to get into. Entertaining game, to say the least. Drew, I'll send it out to you.
Yeah, Giles, and we knew it from the jump that this game was going to be extremely physical, high pace, high energy, and it certainly lived up to that. But, Scott, I don't know about you. There's some times where we do these post-game hits after a Celtics loss, and it's like, how did that just happen? It feels like an effort thing sometimes. Tonight, it was not an effort thing at all. I think the Rockets came in and took this game. The Celtics did not give it to them.
You could point to mistakes down the stretch, but, look at Dylan Brooks and Thompson playing out of their minds. Like, they were about this environment. And give them credit. Ever since we smacked them, now they're 11-2 since that moment. Offense going off the charts. Dylan Brooks hits 10 threes. So these guys are playing with a ton of confidence. We're shorthanded. We played hard. Just came up short.
Yeah, but Dylan Brooks is the 5th player ever to make 10 threes against the Celtics, and he's on a list with Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, Danilo Gallinari, like some really good shooters. He was 1 point off a career high, and then Amen Thompson goes for a career high 33, including the game winner. He was amazing tonight. Like, we were excited to watch him up close and personal. He was even better than I expected.
Yeah, he's a better player, basketball player than I thought. I kind of thought, oh, man, young, not making the right decisions. I thought that ball moved around. I thought he played really well. From our standpoint, I do think it's important when guys are out to get our star players going. Tatum had that stretch in the third where he was scoring, but he was also, getting other people involved. I just think there's so many more times as a group that we can give the ball to Tatum and Brown and then empower them to be playmakers for this team, right? So, you can't really argue the way we played today. I thought we had good effort and everything like that, but it's like Tatum not scoring in the first half. I don't know if that could ever happen in us to have success. We could have won this game, but it just seemed like I'd like to see him get more involved early.
Well, everything was running through him in the third quarter when he had 15 points, shot 8 free throws, made them all, had a couple more assists. He played almost 42 minutes tonight. And remember, folks, no Derek White, no Sam Hauser, and then Al Horford didn't play in this game either. What's your biggest takeaway for the Celtics, or is it Tatum has to really dominate in the first half?
No, I don't think there's you could put any shade on the Celtics off of this loss. I think it's all, you could talk about fourth quarter execution. You want to talk about our pace in the fourth quarter, how we get into sets, real technical stuff. But I would not argue with the way that we played right now. It wasn't one of those games where it wasn't like the Laker game. Like, these guys went to war, they battled, and those guys played out of their minds.
It was a super high-level basketball game. It was fun to be courtside. Obviously, wish we had a different result. The Celtics now, Giles, you mentioned it, 3-9 after a win since December 15th, 0-5 at home. The good news is really good after a loss, so we'll see you Wednesday.
Jaylen, can you walk us through that last defensive possession where you and Luke looked like you were kind of switching there? Can you explain what happened there?
We had a foul to give the previous play before, so we used the foul to give. And after we seen kind of what they was in, like, you knew like they were probably trying to get an ISO. They were trying to go at Luke. So I guess I should have sniffed it out earlier. But, we tried to communicate the switch to get Luke off of Thompson because he had it going and they were going to go to him. And the timing was miscued. And they scored at the end.
Joe took that on himself. You seem like you're taking that a little bit on yourself too. I don't want to be like who's to blame, but like where should that have been, I think, communicated earlier, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's tough to switch like that or try to make that call. We should have probably just stayed. But if you can stiff it out early, to see what they're running, because you see how they're lined up, then you try to get one of your better defenders in the action. So that's what we were trying to do there. and cost us at the end. But we were trying to just get Luke out of there.
And what is the feeling after this game? Because this was a tough back and forth. You guys came back off the long road trip, but you still were fighting to the end, even shorthanded, and it was back and forth. Do you come out of this feeling, I don't want to say moral victory, but do you feel better about most of this performance? How does this feel as compared to some of the other struggles you guys have had recently?
I thought we competed. Give credit to Houston, like the people we wanted to make beat us tonight. We wanted to get Jaylen, Fred, and Sengun. We wanted to take them away, and then we kind of accomplished that. But Dylan Brooks and Amin Thompson, they made us pay.
Jaylen, you guys have surrendered 9th fourth quarter leads. You've been up 9 times in the fourth and then end up losing the game. That matches the entire number for last season. What do you think, from your estimation, is different, and what do you think is worth indexing on versus something to shrug at?
We got to be better down the stretch and execute. Tonight wasn't the best example of that, so something we got to look at for sure.
Jaylen, you mentioned the guys you guys wanted to beat you. Dylan Brooks had a career high in threes tonight. It's happened a couple other times this season, like Scalabrine. I know, had a big game on Christmas. Like, is there any point where you guys consider going away from that type of thing, or is it just a matter of you play the math and you live with the results?
I think we live with the results, but going forward is something we take into account. But I think tonight, before our game plan, nobody would have expected Dylan Brooks to hit 10 threes. And it happened tonight. So, I think we live with it.
Jaylen, Joe took this loss upon himself, said he didn't have you guys as prepared as probably you'd like for the last couple of plays. What's that like when the coach takes it upon himself? Obviously, you guys are the players and are out there making the plays. But what's it like when he kind of says, hey, this is on me?
It's always a team effort, group effort, between coaches, players. So we all share responsibility. So, we could have been better. We could have been a little bit more organized. It's full circle. So, we just got to be better as a group, and a little more organized in the fourth quarter down the stretch.
And when they're trapping Jason and they're trying to speed you guys up, how do you guys attack that to get layups and maybe not rush as much?
I thought JT did a great job of it was blitzing them in the fourth, and making the right reads and things like that. And I got to convert. I had some opportunities in the fourth quarter that I didn't convert on, but I thought JT did a good job of being patient, beating the outside leg, and finding an open guy. We just didn't convert in the fourth.
Jaylen, with Al being a last-minute scratch for you guys, and when did you guys find out about that, and just how did that kind of adjust the game? I know Luke had a good game, obviously, thrown in there, but obviously you were playing under a lot of different lineups out there that we don't see much with you guys having 3 guys out.
Yeah, we didn't know before. We didn't know until the game kind of was getting ready to start. And give credit to the guys. Thought guys came in and played well. Luke had a good game offensively. Nimi came in. Jaden gave us a little bit of a spurt. So we had guys that step up to the plate and just the rhythm of things, and we just didn't convert in the fourth quarter. But we got some good looks. And that last possession, we were a little disorganized, and that's what happened.
Switching gears a little bit, tonight was moved for Heather night. What did she mean to you, and how meaningful is it to have those kind of nights here inside TD Garden?
I think it was great. Heather was one of the first people that I got to know in Boston, through PR. She would, always be following me around, and anytime I was doing anything in the community. And we had a lot of great times. You know, sometimes she would bring her family along, her daughters, and now they're like grown now. So no, we loved Heather. I loved Heather. It's unfortunate that things happen like that, but it's great that the Celtics took the 4th step to like commemorate her, because she was great.
All right, up next, Celtics hosting the Chicago Bulls on Wednesday. Bulls, I don't know, confounding team. I guess not confounding because they're always the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference. They've got some decisions to make in advance of the trade deadline. Are Vucevic and Levine going to be there? You know, what's the, I hate to say what's the long-term plan in Chicago because I don't know if they know. But, you know, they're a team that when engaged and when shots are going in, play you tough. I think it's the season where Dosunmu went nuts against them. Levine's had big nights. So you got to bring it because you know they're going to. Regardless of record and regardless of scenario, there's still a couple weeks here before the trade deadline. So unless it's a little too early for teams to be resting guys to make sure they're healthy enough to trade, and you know who knows what the Bulls are going to end up deciding what to do. I hear everybody saying trade all those guys and start over. Like Levine's been really good. Can you find a way to build pieces around him? I don't know. You know, like They've got their own issues to deal with. The Celtics, they've been great after losses. The point differential is ridiculous, something like, plus 20 points after a loss. And so it's as frustrating as it is that they're 3-9 after wins. They've been 12-1, 11-1, something like that after losses. And so they don't let it fester. And yet it shouldn't take hitting a bump in the road for them to be a little bit more focused. We'll see. As we said last time, which version of these Jekyll and Hyde Celtics we get on Wednesday night. All-Star reserves are announced on Thursday. Celtics got another road trip later in the week. Trade deadline's looming next Friday. An awful lot to get to. And we'll be here with you on the Celtics Talk podcast. The roller coaster edition. Hopefully the roller coaster ends and we're just like the regular post-game edition of the Celtics Talk podcast. We'll catch you next time.